All right, yesterday we learned that the Megillah, it sums up the victory of the Jews over their enemies with one sentence. And it says, La Yehudim hoyata ora v'simcha v'sasam v'yakor. It says the Jews had ora, light, ora, sason, simcha sasam v'yakor. The Jews had light, joy, happiness, and glory. It says in the Gemara, Ora, that's Torah. Simcha is Yom Tov. Sason is Bris Milah. And Yakar is Tefillin. So essentially what the Jews were saying was is that we're happy because we have the Torah, the holidays, Bris Milah, circumcision, and Tefillin. What's so happy about those things? The Rebbe says even more. Those four things signified the Jews to the degree that Haman made a decree that it was forbidden for the Jews to do those four things. To learn Torah, to celebrate the holidays, to make a circumcision, and to put on tefillin. When they finished, the war, and the Jews won, so they celebrated that they could do these four things again. Says the Rebbe, what's so special about these four things? I mean, usually if you want to specialize, say the Jews are different from everybody else, so they should have something that nobody else has anything even similar to it. If that's to make a special sign. But if you want to show that the Jews are totally different than everybody else, then the way to do it is not by signs that are similar to other people. For instance, Torah. The non-Jews also have the Torah. They believe in the Old Testament, have the Torah. Yom Tov, they certainly have holidays. Non-Jews have holidays. So each person has its own holidays, right? The Mexicans have their holidays, and the French have their holidays. But everybody has their holidays. So the Jews have their holiday. Bris Milah in America, in Europe, I think almost every child has a circumcision for health reasons. But they have it. So. And Sason, and Yakar is Tefillin. Jews have Tefillin, but the non-Jews, they also have their little signs they wear around their neck to show what religion they are, to show what thing. They have signs they put on their places of worship. They have their signs. We have our sign. What's so special? Says the Rebbe, these signs are not coming to show that the Jewish soul is different from the non-Jewish soul. Jews have two souls. Jews have a godly soul. You don't have to make a special sign for that. Where do you have to make a sign where you might think that things are the same? The Jewish body. The fact is the Jewish body is totally different from the non-Jewish body. How is it different? You can see you can make an organ transplant. Jew and a non-Jew can't tell from looking at a Jew. A Jew and a non-Jew get married. They have children. Just like what's the difference between a Jew body and a non-Jew? So, that's the point. God specifically took four things that seem to be similar to the non-Jews, and in fact they are totally, completely different from what the non-Jews have. Totally. The Jews learn Torah. It's not the same thing as how the Jews have the Torah. The Jews have holidays. Nothing like the Jewish holidays. Nothing at all. They both have holidays, but the non-Jews circumcise themselves, are circumcised. Jews also, but it's totally different. These four things especially show that even the normal things that Jews do, even the physical things that look to be the same as what the non-Jews do, in fact, is totally different. And that's the message of Purim. That's the message of Purim. Don't think that just because the Jews look the same, because they have the same number of limbs and arteries, and you can make organ transplants and things, that the Jew body is the same thing as the non-Jew, because it's totally different. Just like the Jewish Torah is totally different from the Torah, even when it's the same Torah they learn. Totally different. Well, so let's see. Gimel. Al Doshas Gomorrah, that's what it says in the Gemara and Megillah, that the Ora The Yehudim Hoyasa Ora v'Simcha Ora is Torah. Shoalim, the Gemara asks, Torah? Hari Nikrat B'Kol Makom B'Shem Or. The Torah is called everywhere, or, not Ora, or masculine. Madua Eifo Ne'amar Kan, why all of a sudden does it here say the Yehudim Hoyasa Ora Simcha? It should say the Yehudim Hoyasa Or, if it's talking about the Torah. Why does it say here feminine? The Kotev Admor Zakan, the first Rebbe of Chabad, he answers this question and he says, Shebetorah kan mekaven, when it says here Torah, or it means not the regular Torah, but Torah Shebal Peh, the oral Torah, the explanation of the Torah. Shehi, which is mekabelet mitorah shebechtav, that the oral Torah, that comes from the written Torah. Lochin nemar kan ora, therefore it says Lashon Nekeva. The Jews have the written Torah, but they don't have anything even vaguely similar to the Talmud or to the Mishnah or to the Zohar, to all the Midrash, nothing. We'll see. The difference between the written Torah and the Torah Shebal Peh, the Torah that was passed down by mouth to ear, it's called the oral Torah. Torah Shebechtav is me'al inyan seichel. Torah, written Torah, is totally above understanding. Above understanding. Hey, what do you want to tell me, really? This book was written by God? There's a book that God wrote the book, right? Did he have a publisher? Did he have a promoter? They say that the Bible is the most popular book in the world. There's no promoter, there's no publisher. The same thing, Jews have been eating matzah for the last 3,300 years. You never see an advertisement for matzah. Matzah might be the most popular food in the world. No advertisements to eat matzah. Maybe there might be in America or something like that. Eat Streitz matzahs, eat Manischewitz matzahs, but Jews have been eating matzah. And everybody knows the Torah, the written Torah, is above understanding. It makes no sense whatsoever. Why God and how God could write a book? What does this mean? God is infinite. Hakol Yodim, everyone knows Torah Shebechtav, that the written Torah, Natan HaKodesh Baruch Hu, God gave Moshe Rabbeinu on Mount Sinai. Moving a pashat, so it's obvious. Ki ein legeshet leTorah Shebechtav, you cannot approach learning Torah bechakirot sichliot, with your own intellect, or pilpulim, and all sorts of whatever it is philosophies. Ki im be'amuna. Torah has to be learned with pure faith. No one can understand how it is that God gave a Torah and why he would give a Torah. Look at, there's all these other religions. They have billions of followers. What do they say? Some guy went into the mountains. Some person went into the desert. One person came out of a cave. One person all of a sudden had an awareness. He had an experience. And he comes and he says, God just spoke to me. You know what he said? Everybody said, what did he say? He said, go and kill everyone that doesn't believe in me. We believe in you. Go and do it. We'll do it. But before you kill them, give them a chance. If they want to believe, they can believe. If they don't want to believe, they don't have to believe. All of a sudden, the guy's most popular person, right, on Facebook, before there was Facebook, he's got 2 billion hits. The guy has. Everybody likes him. Everybody's this and that. What? He went into a rock or something like that, and he came out with an idea. Right? Came out with an idea. God spoke to me. Who knows what he heard? Who knows if he heard? All the religions in the world are based on that. All of them. One person heard, one person saw, one person knows. We must never say against that person. We must never usher a word against that person. Never. Moshe Rabbeinu, that God did speak to him. There's no self-respecting rabbi that doesn't have at least 10 jokes on Moshe Rabbeinu. Everybody has a joke, Moshe Rabbeinu. Right? Moshe Rabbeinu went on, how much does the Torah cost? It's free, give me two tablets. Everybody has a joke. The others, who you talk about him? 15 commandments. It was too heavy, right? It was too heavy to carry down Mount Torah. He cut away 5 of them. The others, you say a word against this guy. Even you say the M word. No. That's it, you're out. That's how you finish. If anybody hears this video, they'll be looking for me tomorrow. The Torah has to be approached. God himself gave the Torah to the Jewish people. Makes no sense. And that's why it's hard to believe, but it must be believed. This is a thing that you have to do only according to faith. And if you don't believe, you know what happens to you? Absolutely nothing. You have a choice. You can believe, you can don't believe. It's the truth. You don't want to believe, it's not the truth. But learning Torah Shebechtav has to be that you believe in the creator of the universe. You can learn the Torah, the written Torah, like the non-Jews do. It's a wonderful book. It was given by God a long time ago. Right? It was the spiritual. Now we have a new dispensation, a new testament. L'umatzot, on the other hand, Torah Shebal Peh, the oral Torah, Hari Inyanu, the whole thing is leba'er b'svoros seichlis, to explain intellectually ma sheba b'kitzur b'torah shebachtav, that which comes in a short way in the written Torah. The written Torah is like the seed. B'kein lahorot, and also, but the oral Torah, the Talmud, the Shulchan Aruch, this is to show laws Shalom Namru Baba Firish that were not even stated in the Torah clearly. It doesn't say anywhere in the Torah that you have to put on tefillin. It doesn't say anywhere on the Torah what tzitzis are. What is a mezuzah? Right? It doesn't say what Shabbos is, what day it is. It doesn't say what you're supposed to do on Shabbos, what you're forbidden to do. It doesn't say don't light fire in your house. Right? That's all. There were people that really thought that. There were tzedukim that really took the Torah. They didn't accept the oral Torah. Everybody made up their own explanation. Al Yedei Hashvos Rayos Sichlis, by means of the oral Torah, is purely intellectual. You learn it and understand it. Shekiven Torah Shebachtav, that since the written Torah was written Shadinu Kach V'Kach, that this is the law. As moving Shezeh Gam Mikra Acher Tzorech Lios Kedin Zeh. If so, what about it's another case? Hekesh Kol V'Chomer, etc. Right? That it says eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth in the Torah, does it really mean that? It says no, just like it says in another place that if a person does something, you have to pay the value of it, is the same word is used as also here where it says eye for an eye means the value of an eye. If you put somebody's eye out, the value of an eye. How do you know that? You have to learn what it means. That's what it says, don't kill in the Ten Commandments. It doesn't mean don't kill bacteria, right? It means don't kill people. And it means don't kill people unless there's enough reason. If the person comes to kill you, you can kill him. If a person is guilty of a crime, in the time when the first temple or whatever, they used to kill people. It says that, in fact, they never did really kill anybody because it was so hard to get everything all together. Right? There had to be exactly so many conditions in order to actually kill people. But nevertheless, it is technically permissible to kill in those cases. Right? That what it says in the Ten Commandments, keep Shabbat. That doesn't mean just one Shabbat. Keep one Shabbat. It doesn't say keep every Shabbat. And it doesn't say what day Shabbat is. And it doesn't say what you're not supposed to, don't do any work. Why does work? So in the written Torah, in the oral Torah, they learn these things out. Nimsa Ifo, so comes out Shator Shabbat, that the oral Torah is in Masur L'Seichel. This is intellectual. But Gishato Shel Yehudi Gam B'Torah Shabbat Hi Be'emunah. This is where it's different, the written Torah, the oral Torah, and how Jews learn the Torah. The non-Jew looks at the written Torah as the word of God. You don't understand it, we'll make up our own understanding. The Jew looks at the written Torah, it's God's understanding, God's words, we don't understand it, so we'll learn the Gemara. The Gemara you can understand, but that doesn't mean that it's ours. That means it's what it says in the Gemara. These people, Rabbi Akiva says, and Reish Lakish says, and Rabbi Yochanan, this is God speaking through these people. Pure faith. V'gam k'shenira lo k'seichlo ba'ofen mesuyam yesh lo rayot tochachot lakach. And even if somebody says something and he has good proof for what he's saying in the Talmud, ein uposek kein kasher megala stira lakach. Even when a person, even when things seem very clear to me, what it is, and he reads a book and he sees very clearly what the law is, but if he finds out that the Rambam and the Rosh and the Rif, they say differently, he says, that's it, I give up my opinion. That what these earlier lawmakers said is accepted by everybody. Ad shefilu b'zaman a Mishnah, the Tanaim, they have laws. Im halacha hi nekabel, if it's a law, then we'll do it. Al af she'ledin yesh tshuva. What does it mean? When we learn the oral Torah, we have to understand this is the word of God. What does it mean it's the word of God? That earlier opinions, even though I totally do not agree with them, I have to accept them. Even though it's against my understanding, but nevertheless I have to accept them. So if there's really an earlier opinion that on Shabbat it's forbidden to write, so if somebody comes along later and says, that was back then, when in order to write you had to sharpen a pen, whatever, right? This is good. Logically, you got a good point over there, but it's wrong. What do you mean it's wrong? Here, this what it says in the Talmud. That's also a logic, right? It's Rabbi. Why am I doing the law? Because Rabbi Meir says it. I'm Rabbi Sean. I can also make a law, right? What's wrong with what's wrong? Make a law, right? Rabbi O'Connor. If so, what's the idea of learning the oral Torah? The oral Torah is faith, emunah, even though it's understanding, but it still is above understanding. And that's what differentiates a Jew, the Torah of a Jew, from a non-Jew. Efshel a Torah person can say, how can it be? Why should I give up my own intelligence for Rabbi Meir's intelligence or for Rabbi Yochanan, if it was talking about the written Torah? The written Torah says clearly, right, that you must keep Shabbat. Therefore, I will not ask any questions. But since in the Torah it doesn't say clearly when Shabbat is and what it is, but what I should actually do is written in the Talmud, which is intellectual. And the lawmakers, the rabbis that said in our previous generation, they understood the Talmud. Since the previous generation, they understood as the previous generations, they said this and this, but I look at the law and I understand it differently. The whole oral Torah is understanding. So therefore, they have their right to their understanding, but I have my right to my understanding. Why can't I do what I want? It's got a good point, right? Says a tshuva, the answer is, Shegishato shel Yehudi gam l'Torah shebal peh is emunah and yirat shemayim. When you read the Talmud, you're reading the Talmud not because you're a genius or you want to become a genius, but you read it because you want to know what God says. And you believe in God, and you believe that these are the words of God. And I'm afraid to go against God. I'm afraid. I don't want to do the wrong thing. Not that I'm afraid I'm going to go to hell. That's the reason, not the reason. I'm afraid of doing the wrong thing. Right? I don't want to make a mistake in my life. Why should I make a mistake? Kedivrei Chazal, like the rabbis say, Kol sheyirat chetu kodemis l'chachmaso, chachmas mekayemes. Anyone whose the fear of sin is greater than his wisdom, so his wisdom remains. Certainly there is an obligation according to the Torah to understand and to be wise and to use your mind. Yes, Shari and Yanushal Torah, because the whole thing of the oral Torah, the Talmud, etc., is Chachma v'Seichel, is to understand. But there's a limit. Matai Chachmato Metkayemet, when will your ideas be eternal? When all you want to do is just serve God. You're not interested in looking for loopholes. You're not interested in you being right. You're interested in doing what is right. That's what you're interested in. And you're afraid of making a mistake, even though that everybody agrees with you. Everyone could be agreed with you. Maybe you'll even go to heaven. Who knows? But you're making a mistake. This is the difference between the tzedukim and the perushim. You ever heard this before? Tzedukim and perushim. The tzedukim, they were Jews that did not accept the oral Torah. The perushim, These were the Jews, like Rabbi Akiva, all these holy Jews that they had fear of God. That's why it's unfortunate that in English language, a thing that's called pharisaical. Have you ever heard that word before? Pharisaical. Pharisaical means that a person is I forgot the word. He's no. Insincere. He contradicts himself. What is it? He says one thing and does another thing. That's the Pharisees. That came from the Gospels, right? JC came along and he wanted to make everybody leave the Torah Shebal Peh, the oral Torah, except only his interpretation. So he said, these people are Pharisees. There's a really good word for it, and it just slipped my mind. A person that says one thing and he tells everyone to do that, but he himself does it. What's it called? But he himself, right, does the thing he tells everyone else not to do. What? Hypocrite. Oh, very good. Yeah. A hypocrite. Why these words? There's a hypocritical person, right? It's also called pharisaical. Look it up. Shocking.
Between the Sadducees, the Asines,
who knows? They're all these groups are the same. Yeah, all these. There were Saddukim and there were the Baitusim. And yeah, these were Jews that they wanted to interpret the Torah however they wanted. Without the oral Torah. They didn't want to accept, they had no acceptance of Rabbi Akiva and of Reish Lakish and Abaye of Rabbah and Rabbi Yehuda and Nasi. These people were old-timers. Old-timers. We're coming to make a new Torah. The Torah must evolve. It must be according to the generations. It just must change according to the times, according to this.
And they were very popular.
That's where Reform and Conservative came from. Also, the Tzaddukim were very popular, sure. In the time, I think even in the time of the Rambam they exist. Then they became like the Karaites. They were the Karaites, which the Kra. They go according to the Kra, according to the oral, written Torah only. And also there's the Shomranim and the also people. The same thing, all of them. These were Jews that basically wanted to make up their own version of Judaism. That's what they wanted to do. Okay. They had a point, but they were wrong. It says, this is the difference between the Tzaddukim who did not agree with the oral Torah and the Perushim. Regarding the written Torah, lo chilku Tzaddukim. The Tzaddukim accepted every word of the oral Torah. Like you see in the, what's it called, the New Testament. I don't advise anyone to read it, but so-called Zot gam hi havinu. This they understood, that the written Torah, you have to accept every word of the written Torah is true. Beini mesechol rotza, whether you want to or you don't want to, you have to accept it. He nitna laMoshe misena. The written Torah was given to Moshe on Mount Sinai. Al ma chilku. What did they disagree with? Al the Torah shebal peh, on the oral Torah. Me'achar shehi inyan sichli, because the oral Torah is intellectual. Tainu, and they claim yocholim heim leforesh ba'atzom. They can explain it however they want to. Ve'eno aleim litchashev b'kabbalat chazal. They do not have to receive what the rabbis decided. So they don't have to have a shulchan aruch. They don't have to have any law. They make up their own laws. To this day, I don't understand why they accepted their own laws. I mean, why didn't, they used to put tefillin between their eyes, and they used to make the tefillin round, and okay, good, they can do whatever they want to, but how did that become law? Why didn't somebody say, you know what, I want to put tefillin on my ear. I don't want to put on tefillin at all. Who says you have to put on tefillin? We once had a guy who came to the yeshiva, and he tied a piece of leather. He had a long piece of leather, and he tied it into this knot, so that it hung down. It came around his head.
The box was in the back?
Huh?
The box was in
No, there was no boxes. Just a piece of leather. And he tied it around this, and the two pieces came down here. And he said, I said, well, we'll take that off. What is that? He said, this is my tefillin. But that's not tefillin. He says, who said? That's what it says in the Bible. It says in the Bible, you should have a remembrance between your eyes. This is a remembrance between my eyes. Why did he make it leather? He saw people were making it leather. He decided to make it leather. Who says no? Who says you can't do it? What? That doesn't say anywhere in the Torah what tefillin is. Basically, it doesn't say anything in the Torah what anything is. It doesn't have any real understandable commandments. Even the 10 commandments are not really understandable. Right? Huh?
Tefillin? Just an opinion?
תפילין ממש לא מובן. איפה כתוב בתורה תפילין? שיהיה לו אות על ידך ותותפות בין עיניך. Should be a sign on your arm and totafot between your eyes. What's totafot? Who knows what it is? What's a sign? So everybody do what they want. Take a pen, write over here, sign. Tefillin, write the word, whatever you want. The sign, why not? Make it up. Anything to do what you want. Cheaper. Never have puzzle tefillin.
So when we do that,
because that's what it says in the Gemara and Talmud. That's what Moshe, there were laws. There is three types of laws. There's laws that Moshe received on Mount Sinai that are not written in the Torah, and they were passed down. Moshe, when he came down from Mount Sinai, as he gave over the laws to everybody, he taught everyone. Those laws were passed down. He told everybody what Shabbat is. He told everybody the 39 malachas that are forbidden on Shabbat. He told everyone what is a mezuzah, what are tefillin, what are tzitzit. He let everyone know, right, what these laws are. There's halacha l'Moshe Sinai. Then there's other laws that the rabbis are supposed to learn out from different places that Moshe did not receive from Sinai, and the rabbis have to learn it out. They have to learn out from different words. That's what God wanted. God wanted that they should use their own mind and that they should learn laws out from the Torah. And that's what the Talmud is. That's what the Talmud is. You have big arguments about what Rabbah and Abaya and what Abaya said and what Rabbah said and what Reish Lakish said and what Rabbi Yochanan said. Big, huge arguments. From here to what Beit Shammai says and what Beit Hillel says. But we believe that all of these people were, vessels for God. And God put his opinion through these people. And that's how we got it. Right? Now this requires faith. This requires a lot of faith. And the faith is totally above the faith that is required for the written Torah. For the written Torah, we say, here it is. It's been given down by generation to generation, 3,300 years. Here's the written Torah. They've been reading it in the synagogues without changes for 3,300, 30 years, 25 years, 20 years? They've been reading it. So the written Torah I accept. But the oral Torah, here it says clearly that this is, right, Omer Rabbah. It says over here that God didn't say it. Right? I'm going to do something because Rabbi Meir said it. I'll do it because I want. So that's what logically came. That really basically is what Christianity is. That came along JC and he said, I have a new explanation of the Bible. Every word of the Bible is true. I have a new explanation. My new explanation. Everything is spiritual. Shabbat is spiritual. Right? The tefillin is spiritual. Eating kosher is spiritual. Everything is spiritual. And that's what he said. Everything is spiritual. So basically, it's not that much different from Reform and Conservative and these others, except they just didn't want to make up somebody to believe in someone. They just believe in themselves. But all of this comes from the basic fact of not wanting to approach the oral Torah, the Talmud, in the same way you approach the written Torah. The written Torah comes from God. The oral Torah comes from people. Say, no, they both come from God. They both have to be accepted in the same way. Of course, eventually, those people who don't accept the oral Torah, so the whole Torah is so meaningless, then why accepted it? There's no, what's the point? It doesn't make it, exactly the opposite. You see, you're right, there's no meat on the bones. You see, there's a joke about that, but I don't know if we can. I'll tell you the joke. A guy walks down the street, a poor man walks down the street. It's a cold day in Russia. 1920s, everybody's poor. And he happens to walk down the street, the rich street with the restaurants. And he looks in one of the restaurants and he sees everyone sitting in the restaurant. And it's all warm and they're all flush, they're plush. And they're eating blintzes. These rich Jews, they're eating blintzes. You know what blintzes are? Yeah. So he goes home, looks, he's watching the window. So he goes home to his wife and he says, Sarah, I want blintzes. His wife says, no problem. She takes down the cookbook. She says, okay, let's see, take the dough, makes the dough. He says, one second, we have to put inside the blintzes, we have to have sour cream. I don't have sour cream. He says, okay, make it without sour cream. It says here you have to have raisins and you have to have nuts and honey. I don't have raisins and nuts and honey. Where do we get this stuff? He says, listen, you did without sour cream. Do without the raisins, nuts, and honey. Just, I'm really hungry.
Do what?
I'm really hungry. I do it without the nuts and the raisins, and we did it without sour cream.
Did she have the flour?
So she says, flour they add in water. So she says, but it says over here that you have to have cinnamon. Cinnamon, we don't have any cinnamon, and it says you should spread butter on it. We don't have any butter. So it says, make it without the cinnamon, without the butter. She says, okay, good, you're such a good husband. So he sits there with his, he's got his bib, and just like the people did, and he has his fork and his knife. Right? He looks in the mirror a few times and sees how he looks, he's looking good. Puts the bib in, he's got the this, and his wife takes the thing and she flips it over, and she brings it to him. And he says, very good, he takes it, makes a bracha. Right? Framing him his own. He says, I don't understand what those rich people see in these blintzes. What's the big deal? They sit in there with a whole big ceremony, right? It's the same thing with the Torah. You take out from the Torah all the commandments. You take out the Torah all the mystery. You take out the Torah what the rabbis say. You take out the Torah, then you get the Torah. What do you see in the Torah? This thing is just so boring. Right? There's nothing to it. Says the Rebbe that's the Indian, that's the whole thing of the Sadukim. They said that they can explain how they want to. They don't have to accept the Torah from the rabbis. Gisha Perushim, what did the Perushim say? Shekashem Shekodesh Baruch Hu, just like God. Masala Moshe Rabbeinu Torah Shebechtav, the Perushim, the Pharisees, just that God gave Moshe the written Torah, Kach Gam Bo B'Shah, at the same time he gave him the oral Torah. Ahevdalu, the only difference is She'edzu Natan Bechtav. The Torah, the written Torah he gave written down, told Moshe to write it down. Ve'edzu, and this, the oral Torah, he gave it Baal Peh 1,000 years later, 2,000 years later, 1,500 years later. Torah shebechtav eino melubeshet b'seichel. The Torah, I'm sorry, the oral Torah he gave together with the written Torah, right? The written Torah. But just Reb Yehuda HaNasi came along after the destruction of the Second Temple, and he said, we have to write this down. So he wrote down the Mishnayos. Very shortly afterwards, they wrote down the Talmud Bavli and Talmud Yerushalmi, and then after that, the Talmud Bavli. Right? They wrote it down. But up to then, it was not allowed to write this down. It had to be oral so that people wouldn't confuse it. But when he saw that people were forgetting it, so then he wrote it down. That was what the Rambam wrote. And now things are so confused, he's going to write a book that's going to put all the laws in of all of Judaism so that everybody can read all the laws of Judaism. Torah Shebal Peh Melubeshet B'Seichel. Even though that the written Torah is written and the oral Torah was understood, Ulam Ein Zot Ela Torah Shebal Peh Ba B'Levush. It's just that the oral Torah is coming in a garment of intelligence. Avol Hi Oto Torah, but it's the same exact Torah. Haba Me'ed HaKodesh Baruch Hu, that comes from God. Hanala Min HaSeichel, which is above understanding. V'Hagish Aleh Tzorech Liot Emunah, has to be faith. This is the difference between the Jews' way of learning Torah and a non-Jew way of learning Torah. Davka Torah Shebal Peh, Ora. That's why it says Liudim Maria Ora. It's talking about the oral Torah. This is the sign that separates the Jews from the non-Jews.
So Ora is Torah Shebal Peh?
Torah Shebal Peh. Ki Ora Zanekeva, he makabelet mi Or. Or is a Zachar. So the Or, that's masculine. That's how a Hashem comes down. And Ora is how it's received by the people. But they're both from God. Both from Hashem. Av b'Torah Shebal Peh melubeshet b'seichel morgeshet kedush Hashem. Because even in the Talmud, even in the Mishnah, even the Midrash, you should feel that the holiness of God, by means of the Jewish people, feel the holiness of God. Gamba ha'ikar etzlam, because by the Jews, the oral Torah, by them, the main thing is not the understanding, but emunah, which is above understanding. If so, that's one of the signs that Hashem gave to differentiate the Jewish body from the non-Jewish body. What? The oral Torah. The non-Jews also have oral Torah. There was just a big thing now in the news. Where was it? Who knows? That the people in Vietnam or somewhere there, South Korea, I don't know where it was. they came to the conclusion that the reason that the Jews are so smart is because they learn Talmud. So they want to learn Talmud. Right? They want to learn Talmud. Probably some smart Jewish guy convinced them of this. There's a joke about that also, right? So after they've already bought everybody, they bought Talmuds for everybody in South Korea or wherever the place is. They spent billions and millions of dollars. So they learn the Talmud, and after they learn it for a couple of years, they say, hey, we don't feel any smarter. So see, you're already getting smarter. You already got it. Before you were so stupid, you fall for the idea that you learn Talmud, you're going to get smarter. And now you're getting smarter. That's a sign. It differentiates the non-Jews and the Jews. The non-Jews learn the Torah because it is intellect. If they learn it at all, because it's intellect. A Jew learns the Torah because it's godly. It's a miracle. It's above understanding. The whole thing is a total mystery. And what's the mystery? How we can understand what God wants. That's the mystery. Why God wants us to understand things, and how is it possible to understand what God wants? And it maybe even more, how can it possibly be that by means of understanding that if I give an ox to this person, and he has I pull this person's ox over here in New Jersey, and I want to buy I want to sell him my donkey, which is in Tel Aviv, as when I pull his ox, automatically the donkey belongs to him. This is God's wisdom. This is a normal human understand. What's the God's wisdom? That's what the Jews believe. That what it says in the Talmud, all the laws, even the ones that are totally intellectual, that you can understand, right? Don't kill, don't steal. This is God's wisdom, totally above understanding. Also in the second Simcha is Yom Tov. Non-Jews also have Yom Tov. They also, to the non-Jews, they have a lot of holidays. Nevertheless, they're different totally from the Jews. Eitzel Yisrael, by the Jews, Yom Tov. What is Yom Tov? What is a holiday? Holiness, Kedusha. When there comes the holiness of Yom Tov, they're happy. Ochlim, basar, they eat meat. Shosim, yayin, they drink wine. Udvarim she'enu ruchanim, and things that are not spiritual. Ella, right? Both of them are non-Jews and Jews. They do the same thing. They drink wine. They're happy. But here's the difference. I have del ben Yehudi leinu Yehudi lahavdil. Eitz aleinu Yehudim by a non-Jew. Maybe a davar laholus. It comes to wildness. I remember I used to play music also. I had friends. Anyway, I went to non-Jewish weddings, and there was afterwards fist fights. Mamish guys would get drunk, right? Drunk, very common. It was almost a fun thing. You want to show you're a man. You go to the wedding, right? You duke it out. Let's go.
I thought they thought that was fun.
That was fun, sure. Let's go outside and fight. Let's work our way outside. What do you have to fight? Right? It was a natural, nice thing, right? They had, in all the bars, you have to have bouncers because people want to fight. You have to have somebody who's stronger. That's not worth your while to fight. They get drunk, they fight. Eitzel enem Yehudi by a non-Jew, maybe a double holas. But Eitzel Yehudi by a Jew. What is Yom Tov? Shona Lagam is totally different. Gam im mishamchim et atzmon. They also are very happy and they drink. It doesn't bring to craziness and especially not destructiveness. Unless the person is not normal, could be, but it's not a norm. That's for sure. Exactly the opposite. By sitting, all of them, and they drink and they sing, it brings to more fear of God. They realize how good God is, and it brings to more of a healthy fear of God. Even Purim. When it's a mitzvah that you should get drunk until you don't know the difference, the happiness only adds fear of God and holiness. Even when a Jew is found in Adaloyada, even when a Jew is found in such a situation, in such a state of mind, it says that he doesn't know the difference between Mordechai and Haman. Mavchin also, even them, but not from his mind, not intellectually, but he understands, he feels that Haman is cursed and Mordechai is blessed, like we're going to explain later on. So that's the big difference between a Jewish holiday and a non-Jewish holiday. A Jewish holiday is a holy day. A person feels so happy to be connected to God. A non-Jews, right, their holidays, maybe when they're in the church, they're all quiet. But as soon as they go out and they get soused, or they get drunk, then all of a sudden you get to see the action, right? Craziness, wildness, right?
Yeah, you ever see when Jewish people get drunk and they start fighting at the storm party? I don't think I've ever seen that.
Listen, here in Kfar Chabad, there's a custom a lot of people drink on Shabbos, and I have never it's not so. One time I did see a fight. This must have been like 40 years ago.
Get off my lawn.
There were two big guys, and the fact is they actually did throw a few punches. They did two Russian guys, because they were Chabad guys, and then they just left. That's it. It wasn't like now he's down on the ground, right? I'm going to punch his face in. It was just sort of a thing but the fact is I saw one time in 40 years. I have to admit that I did see this, but except that I've seen people get a lot drunker than them. I've seen these same people also get drunk, and I've seen them get drunk together. And there was never anything afterwards. They made up and they hugged each other and they were sorry. And
like you said, you go to a wedding or a...
Oh, yeah.
Can't wait to
Sure.
That's the entertainment. That's the dessert.
Hey, hu adavar gam banogea l'sason mila, bris mila. Also, the non-Jews they have circumcision. But by the Jews, the circumcision is a total different thing. The proof to this is sason the mila. Jews are happy about mila, like it says. David HaMelech said, "Sasanochi alem osecha kamoseh shel rav." I am rejoice with this commandment of Milah, like I found a huge treasure. Sha'omer David HaMelech said about this commandment. Roim b'kach, so we see two things. First of all, Milah, that in the circumcision there is a special happiness, sason, special. Sason is even a higher type of joy than simcha is. Number two, mitzvah's milah, the mitzvah milah is like he found a huge treasure. A treasure. What type of a treasure? They're cutting this person up and his bleeding is a treasure. What type of a treasure is this? I've seen, especially by Russians, that they come and they make there's circumcisions at the age of 50, at the age of 40. Right? There's an organization here in Kfar Chabad. It was once in the whole world called Bris Yosef Yitzchak. Now there's other, and they made circumcisions, and for a long time, for like 3 years, they did it in my house, up on the upper floor. We gave it to them, the upper floor. Whenever they had a bris, they could make it in the house. And they, I saw people. I was there a lot of times, and older people, 50, 60 years old. And he even told me a story about one guy that was like 85 years old. And he said that they said to him, listen, it's dangerous. Maybe they said, I'd rather die 100% a Jew than live a long life not. It was worth it to him. It's a painful thing. Happy. He was happy. Maya Simcha. What is the greatest happiness that there can be in having a bris milah? Miu ashonim imenu notlim leklal shalal rav. What is it that you get a big treasure from it? You want to tell me you win the lottery, $60 million, that you're happy, is happier more when he makes a bris milah. Why? Because what the Rambam says, that the milah, it weakens, and by the person who is circumcised, it weakens his desires and his, his uncontrollable connection to the world. As we will learn, God willing, tomorrow. Come tomorrow, 11:30.